Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mo. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. Sorry guys, I'm feeling a little bit off kilter today, but I really wanted to do this huge project of zodiac energy readings, and part of me just wants to take it a little bit easy because I did do my Lucifer channeling video yesterday and I feel like that was a success, but it also took a lot of energy out of me that today I don't feel like I can really do any more energy readings at this point. But I did feel like I was kind of connecting with the spirit of the vampire today, in the sense that I'm feeling a lot of like emotion and I'm feeling very much controlled by the emotions that I'm having today. So having said that, I thought I'd do a little bit more of an easier video, and so I thought that I'd do one of my vampire diary videos, and of course I'm going to use the Tarot of Vampyres and I'm going to draw a card from the Tarot of Vampyres like I just showed you, and I will read from the book what the card means, and perhaps at the end I'll draw a regular tarot card, not from the Vampire Tarot, and just finish off with a little bit of a message from Divine. So how are you guys doing today? As I said before, my name is Mo, that's short for Mauharet, and I consider myself a witch, and I am also in connection with the vampire spirit, and I've had a lot of experiences in the past with the spirit of the vampire, apparitions, experiences where I've physically smelled, you know, a vampire, and I've spent time with a vampire in the spirit. I've flown in the air, disconnected from my body, with a vampire at night, obviously, and all these things have taken place at night. So as you can imagine, when you experience all these things at night with the subject of them being equated with a vampire, they seem that much more real because of the fact that vampires only come out at night. So let me just express to you a little bit about how I experienced these vampiric experiences. And I know that I actually said I wasn't going to go into my own experiences in an earlier Vampire Diary episode that I put out, but my introduction was to it was at night, and it was with the energy of a vampire. So I could feel the energy of the vampire coming into my home, and I could feel the energy. I could feel the energy. So for me, that experience made me realize that vampires don't physically come into your area, but it's more of an energy that they bring into the area. And then when the sun, you know, when you see a little bit of that light in the darkness, you realize that it's time for the spirit to go. So it was almost like the spirit left quickly, you know, to travel back to where they came from. And it was, to me, it was like the idea that the vampire has a body, and that when they go to sleep at night, their spirit leaves their body and they travel through the air. It could be in a form of a bat, but I'm not sure about that. And then they can enter into your home, and then they, from being a spirit, they turn into an entity, but they have a body, but it's all energy. So that's what I experienced when I first experienced my first vampire experience. And the vampire that I experienced that with actually forgot about the fact that the sun was coming up, and so it was almost like an alert came off into my mind that I was like, oh, something's not right. And when that alert came out in my mind, it was almost like it alerted that energy that came in, and the energy quickly left because they needed to get back to their body before the sunrise. So it was really weird, guys. It was really weird, but it was really like, it was like a genuine experience. Some people might think I'm crazy, but you know, it's like I told you in my last, you know, vampire videos, where people may think you're crazy, but the fact of the matter is I experienced it. And whether it was a hallucination or whatever it was, you know, I mean, you guys know that I've told you before, I do suffer from mental illness, but the realness of that experience, sorry, I'm just shuffling the cards here. The realness of that experience is something that I'll never forget. And so that was just one experience that I had with the vampire spirit. So let's just pull a card. Okay, so I don't think it was upside down because the cards are all right side up. And so that means they were all upside down. So it could be upside down. We'll see as we go. But maybe when a card is upside down, I sometimes imagine that there's something to be on alert of, but that maybe it's not the opposite of what the card is actually meaning. So we have the 10 of Grails, which is the 10 of Cups. And yeah, see, it says the 10 of Grails on the bottom, and it's a woman with a chalice in her hand. So the Grails is the chalice, and she seems to be in ecstasy or something like that. So she's very beautiful. So let's see what the 10 of Grails means in the Phantasmagoria book that goes with the vampire deck. So it's the 10 of Grails, like I said. Let me find it in the book. Okay guys, so I'm going to read to you what the meaning of this card is. And I might stop in between reading the book to kind of tell you about what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. So the alchemy of the 10 of Grails is Mars in Pisces. The kingdom is Malkuth, of the kingdom of water. The manifestation of emotional intuition. So that's what the Grails are. They contain the water, which can be symbolic of emotions. So the kindred spirits are Eshelia and Mauharet. The essence of this card, the manifestation of emotion, emotional wholeness and harmony. And I totally feel like I'm super emotional today. I don't know if you guys feel that way. Comment down below if you feel like you're just vibing with that whole idea of feeling so emotional today. It's almost like I want to cry, laugh, all at the same time. Like, you know, go out, stay in. It's like I can't put my finger on what the emotion is. So the manifestation of emotion, emotional wholeness, and I do feel like it's an emotional wholeness because I don't feel like I'm missing anything, but it's very intense, and harmony. So I guess that's just saying something that I want is harmony in my emotions, but I really don't feel that way today. Home and family, settlement, an end of tensions and hostilities, prosperity or self-esteem, lasting success, luscious, succulent warmth, establishment of inner emotional kingdom, honor, virtue, and patience, productivity, consistency, affinity, emotional clarity. And I think that's what I want, is I want emotional clarity today. So maybe you feel that way too. It's just that idea that, you know, it's hard to just stick to one emotion today for me. The message of the 10 of Grails represents lasting happiness, success, and emotional wealth. That's a good thing. I want happiness, success, and emotional wealth. It symbolizes deep fulfillment and stability in our emotional world. And I do feel like having shared that little bit of information with you about how I experience the vampire spirit actually does make me feel a lot better. So it symbolizes deep fulfillment and stability in our emotional world. I think the first step to emotional healing is admitting the things that we've been through emotionally, and so that helps. Tranquility, peace of mind, and long-term contentment characterizes this card. In the previous card, we encountered spiritualized love and euphoria. Here, that energy has manifested in our actual material environment and being realized in our conscious being. This implies a perfect happiness in our home and calm serenity and inner peace. which I do feel right now actually. This card relates more to our practical life and our more conscious feelings, presenting us with a secure foundation for our emotions, which is great to know that there's a secure foundation for the emotions that we're feeling. And for me, the emotions that I'm feeling today, it's good to know that there's that foundation that is secure and firm, and that even though I feel out of whack with my emotions, and maybe you feel the same way, this card is telling us that there is a firm foundation for those emotions. This card relates more to our practical life and our more conscious feelings, presenting us with the secure foundation for our emotions. In a reading, the Ten of Grails represents a time of emotional stability, warmth, and tender sentiments, which I do feel like there's still that tender, sentimental warmth towards those experiences that I had with the vampire spirit. Often it relates to our home or family and brings the promise of a lasting contentment in a loving environment. Happiness and prosperity are on the horizon, leading to an enduring joy and success. Great. The card indicates an end to emotional tensions or conflicts, either with others or within our own heart. As this perfect happiness is inspired from above, it touches us at the deeper level. This inner blissfulness is reflected in our external world, either as a sharing of love with those close to us or in a new perception of the world. It is as though we have awoken from an eternal sleep. Everything is bathed in a new light of warmth, tranquility, and radiance. When we are filled with this light, we radiate its quality. The Ten of Grails encourages us to pass on our feelings of peace and serenity to those around us, or to someone indicated in the question of the reading. This feeling that everything is perfect in the immediate moment is a consistent, gentle flow of emotion rather than a series of revelations. It is characterized by a relaxed ambiance and natural quality. We are encouraged to realign our feelings with the qualities and vibrations of the card. Okay. We are encouraged to realign our feelings with the qualities and vibrations of the card. If we are feeling overly emotional, bingo, we must still our hearts until a feeling of peace and warmth is achieved. And I feel like that's what I'm trying to do with this video, is trying to still my heart until a feeling of peace and warmth is achieved. If we are feeling uninspired, we should stimulate our emotional vibrations. We will know when we have achieved a closer rhythm with this spiritual energy when we begin to feel a euphoric sense of tranquility. The card can be an indication that we should be patient and allow things to develop naturally. In more general terms, the card symbolizes great success, self-esteem, or fulfillment. In love or relationships, it represents long-lasting affection, emotional security, warmth, and bliss. And I sort of feel that is the energy of a vampire when they are taking somebody into their arms and bringing them into that state of euphoria. Because in the vampire novels by Anne Rice, when a vampire drinks from a human being in order to replenish their own life, they feel a sense of euphoria, yes, but the person that is being drunk from in the Anne Rice novels also feels a sense of euphoria. There is no pain. It's almost like exactly that. It's euphoria. It's warmth. It's that warmth of the blood, pumping through their veins and pumping through the vampire's veins. And it's that sense of tranquility. It's everything's at peace. So the Ten of Grails analysis and symbolism represents the euphoric enjoyment of the succulent beauty of life. While the previous card symbolizes a moment of ecstasy, which could be what I was talking about, this card is more about a consistent long-term peace and emotional fulfillment. So it could also be, the fact that when this transaction is happening between the vampire and the human, there's that feeling of emotional fulfillment. It's almost like you're in heaven. It's like if you are the vampire's victim, so to speak, it's like you feel like you're in heaven, in that sense that you feel like there is timelessness, weightlessness. You feel like nothing is wrong. It's almost like I said, it's like a euphoric experience. While the previous card symbolizes a moment of ecstasy, this card is more about a consistent long-term peace and emotional fulfillment. A sensual vampire reclines against a wall of white roses. She dips her finger into a goblet overflowing with luscious lifeblood. She savors the rich fluid as its energy awakens her senses. What did I tell you? So the roses are a symbol of beauty in nature, while her moon pendant relates the card to Pisces. The card is very much about satisfaction, especially on an emotional level. Completion and manifestation of the original Ace of Grails has been achieved. In our earthly sphere, representing the achievement of long-term goals, making us truly happy. So that's what this feeling of the vampire equates to in the regular world. It's that idea that our long-term achievement of our long-term goals makes us truly happy. So when you achieve that goal that you've been working on for a long time, you feel that sense of happiness, euphoria. The work has been completed, and now all the potential powers of our emotions are available to us. So how do we feel now that the work has been achieved? Our inner soul has settled in the dreaming of Pisces and is purified and directed by the willpower of Mars. So this is Mars in Pisces. Mars is the planet of achievement, the planet of it's the go-getter planet, it's the fighting planet. It's that planet that gives us the motivation, and it's the Mars in Pisces, which is a watery sign, and also a very with the emotions, with the water. And the cups here symbolize water. So there's the cup in her hand. So this is Mars in Pisces. So expression of affection, sentiment, and love bring illuminating joy and peace. So I'm also thinking about how there is that transaction between vampire and vampire, where a vampire can drink another vampire's blood, and that transaction between the both vampires it expresses affection, sentiment, and the illuminating of joy and peace. On an inner level, the Ten of Grails can symbolize an emotional awakening of our soul and feelings of inner completion. And let me go back to that time when I was talking about how, as I felt the idea of the vampire spirit, I felt that my senses were awakening. So it says here, on an inner level, the Ten of Grails, which was the card here, can symbolize an emotional awakening of our soul. Emotions, that's what I think about when I think about the soul, and feelings of inner completion. So the Ten of Grails can bring about that awakening of our inner completion. So that could be achieving our goals and feeling like somehow we've completed something that we've had inside of us for a long time. The image is related to the story of Sleeping Beauty as she awakens from dream sleep. The princess Briar Rose pricks her finger on a cursed spindle. This is Sleeping Beauty. She pricks her finger on a cursed spindle and sleeps for 100 years. And it's reminding me of those times that I told you where the vampire, if they've had enough of the world, they will go down and they will sleep in the earth until they can feel strong enough to come up again in their own power. So as she dreams in her enchanted sleep, her castle is overgrown with briars, talking about Sleeping Beauty. Many suitors attempt to rescue her from her prison of sleep, but fail until the prince, her one true love, this is talking about, that Sleeping Beauty, story. Her one true love rides up on a silver stallion, kisses her after he gets through the briars, and offers her a rose upon her awakening. They are married before the year's end. Not just a tale of eternal romance, the story also illustrates an encounter with the higher self on a personal level. And I'm wondering how that story of Sleeping Beauty connects to that idea of connecting with yourself on a higher level. I guess it's that idea that when you awake from sleep, you re-experience everything that's coming upon you in the material world. So it's almost like you look at things on a higher level. And so it says, not just a tale of eternal romance, the story also illustrates an encounter with the higher self on a personal level and its eternal promise of self-realization, which I'm kind of confused about. But the blossoming thorn and the eventual curse turn to joy. So there we go. I guess that's what it is. That idea that even though she was cursed, by pricking her finger on the spindle and falling asleep for hundreds of years or 100 years, eventually she is met with her true love who awakens her, and that curse turns to joy. The princess can represent our earthly existence and our longing for spiritual awakening. She is woken and enlightened by the kiss of her prince, who returns her from the material plane, where we are often restless and asleep, to the spirit reality of the world around us. That's interesting because it's looking at the world in a different light. It's looking at this world. This world, the physical world, is the material plane, where we are often restless and asleep to the spirit reality of the world around us. So that idea that when I was talking about the vampire spirit coming in the energetic form, and how I could imagine that that was something fake if I remember that I'm mentally ill, even though I'm on medication, that idea that this book is saying that I was in the material plane where I was restless and asleep, and then I woke up to the realization that our view of the world as purely material is shaken apart by a realization that every atom in the universe is embedded with a deeper meaning, a divinity that communicates with us directly and unfolds itself. So the princess can represent our earthly existence and our longing for spiritual awakening. She is woken and enlightened by the kiss of her prince, who returns her from the material plane, where we are often restless and asleep, to the spirit reality of the world around us. And so what was I saying? I was saying I experienced that spiritual reality of the world around us when that energetic being came in and sat down with me on the couch and started talking to me, and I could hear the voice talking to me, but I didn't see anything. But I was actually communicating with this vampire spirit that I think it was. And then quickly, as I felt there's something wrong, the spirit left, and I could feel the energy flying away from me in the air, in the night sky. So it's very interesting, but I mean, I guess that's why I'm considered mentally ill. Our view of the world as purely material is shaken apart by a realization that every atom in the universe is embedded with a deeper meaning, a divinity that communicates with us directly and unfolds itself for us. Our task is to listen and awaken, to ask and to recognize that events and encounters appear in our everyday life from a divinity that is at the center of each one of us, and you and me, and that it is merely the barriers we place around us to keep us feeling safe and in control that cause us to feel separate. So when we are trying to protect ourselves from spiritual experiences, that is our barrier that we're putting up, and that is actually what makes us feel separated from the world around us, is because there is so much spiritual energy around us. And when we say, no, that is crazy, that's crazy, I don't want to believe that, it's almost like we're putting up a wall to that extent of all that energy that is around us, that is allowing us, when we tap into it, to feel like we have a purpose and that we are more than just a physical being. Okay, so we must come to know that our thoughts and creativity are connected directly to that which manifests in our lives. What we think we know about the world is often an illusion of dream sleep. So that idea that when we are awake, we're actually still in a dream sleep in this physical world with this body and the things that we see in the physical plane. The prince symbolizes the love of God, of the everlasting. If we have faith and trust, knowing that this love is eternal and unconditional, our need to control events would be replaced with the depths of emotional contentment. And I will admit to you guys that I still feel that need to control the things around me, because part of me still believes that I'm very, very sick, and that even though I'm on medication to control this sickness that I'm having in my mind and in my heart, I feel that it isn't so much a sickness as much as it is a reality. That could just be a symptom of my sickness. So I'm sharing this with you just to let you know that there's nothing wrong with mental illness. I know a lot of people look at it in a negative light, but if you suffer from mental illness, it's not that you need to go ahead and tell everybody that you're suffering from it like I am doing, but it's just that idea that you can know that you are not alone. So the shadow our need to control events would be replaced with the depths of emotional contentment. So the prince that comes in to save the princess who is cursed by the spindle prick, the prince symbolizes the love of God, of the everlasting. So that's what the prince symbolizes. Something everlasting before the foundations of the earth was meant to happen with that princess when she became awakened after being put to sleep for so long. And if we have faith and trust, knowing that this is eternal and unconditional, that love, our need to control our events would be replaced with the depths of emotional contentment. And I added that hour to the events because each one of us has a different story, as I've said before. So the shadow of this card, if we do not express what this card it represents, which I just read about what it represents, the shadow side, which is what will happen if we don't express those emotions of contentment through making things come to fruition in the physical plane. Discontentment, disillusionment, unease or worry, dissatisfaction, strife, restriction, conflict, or disruption, a negative atmosphere. So it's that closing ourselves off to this spiritual world can cause a negative atmosphere for us. Arguments and quarreling, because we feel unhappy because we think that we're actually awake, but we're actually living a dream. Antisocial, impatient, languor, lethargy, procrastination, deterioration or disturbance, impetuousness, tormented emotions, agitation or displeasure, and anxiety. And that's exactly what I was feeling before I started to do this video and before I drew the 10 of Grails. And I think that what has been therapeutic for me today, and you can find out what it is therapeutic for you, but find out what it is. Maybe it was this video, something about all that shadow, that discontentment, disillusionment, unease or worry, dissatisfaction, strife, restriction, conflict or disruption, a negative atmosphere, arguments and quarreling. Maybe you've been in an argument today and you've been quarreling. Antisocial, maybe you're feeling like you don't want to go out into public, like I'm feeling. Impatient, languor, lethargy, which is like that sense of like discouragement, down, depressed, no energy to do anything really too much, procrastination, deterioration or disturbance, impetuous, tormented emotions. I didn't feel tormented emotions, but I can understand how that could happen if we have too many emotions and we don't want to identify them. Agitation or displeasure, and anxiety, which I was, and I still am feeling anxiety today. So the idea is that we want to reach this state of ecstasy. We want to reach this state of ecstasy, and it's about slowly stepping through our situation and observing those things around us, like statues. Okay, you're seeing the statues, you're walking through, you're entering through a wooden, a wooden door, and then there's like a stone frame around the door, and you're entering through the door, and you see there, the vampire, and it's not about being afraid. It's about learning that what you're seeing is what you're looking at in the mirror. So that's how I feel today. I feel like what I'm seeing in the mirror is a vampire, and I really need to connect with the spirit of the vampire, because it's not so much about seeing a vampire and believing that I am physically a vampire, because obviously I'm not. Vampires don't exist in the physical world, but I do believe that they exist in the spiritual world. And maybe you've heard people talk about, because I don't think I've talked about them so much, but you've possibly heard people talk about energy vampires, who instead of actually sucking away the blood from the person, they suck away the energy from the person, and that person is a victim because they didn't agree to it. Well, in my sense, I want to be able to agree to it, so that I can feel that ecstasy of being connected to the divine. So anyway, maybe this sounds like a little bit of a weird video to you, and it does sound a little bit weird to me too, but I feel like it's good to put those questions and those ideas out there, at least for me, because for me it's kind of therapeutic, and I am waiting to see somebody, a specialist, to talk to about my emotions. But I really feel like when I do get a chance to start talking about my emotions and my situations to an actual professional and not just to YouTube, maybe things will get a little bit easier for me. But hopefully you can, find solace in this video, knowing that maybe you're not the only crazy one out there, or you're not the only one who's feeling discouragement or anxiety or feeling lost in their emotions. And so this is the first quarter moon video for you. Today is the first quarter moon, so I do release one on the first quarter, last quarter, full moon, and dark moon. So I release one video a week, and that's 4 videos a month, and sometimes I do more than that. But if you feel like you can vibe with this YouTube video, or with any of the other YouTube videos that I've released before this one, please consider subscribing to my channel, or at least come back and check on me and see what kind of videos I've put up since you've been here. And please feel free to subscribe. please, if you do subscribe, remember to hit the notification bell. It's always fun to know when somebody that you enjoy releases a new video. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up, comment down below, and I will hopefully see you soon in my next video. Bye guys.